So we're going to get started. Good morning, church. So as we get started, we're going to start with a deep breath. A deep breath, a time to take a deep breath, have a moment of silence, be present here in this moment, knowing that God is with us wherever we are, and that the church is not a building, it's a group of people, and wherever you are, God is there. So if you'll join with me right now, I want you to close your eyes. This may be a little different. And just take a deep breath. And as you sit in the silence, feel your shoulders loosen up. Maybe put your hand on your heart and just breathe. Feel your heartbeat. Your chest rise and fall as you take in a deep breath. Remembering that the God who put that heart in you and that the God who sustains you with breath each and every day is present here now with you in this moment, with all of us. Take a deep breath and release all the worry, all the anxiety, the distraction, the fear. Just release it and be present in this moment right here, right now. And as you are present in this moment, let us go to God in prayer. God of love, God of peace, we come to you in this moment from all around the city, from all around the country even. And though we are not together physically, we are united in our spirit of love for you and each other. We bring you all that we are carrying. Our fear, our anxiety, our anger or irritation, our loneliness. We bring it all to you. May we feel your presence here with us. May we feel your peace here in this moment. Allow us to be fully present as we remember your love. Amen. So, like I said, once again, I'm Rachel Freeney. I'm just one of the ministers on staff at Middletown Christian Church. And like many churches across the country this morning and across the world, we're doing church differently. We decided that since we couldn't meet in person, we would meet here online in the digital space. Now, this morning, we come with a lot of things on our hearts and minds. We've been doing a Lent series called I Am, Jesus in His Own Words. And we are going to continue that because Jesus reassuring us who He is and reassuring us who we are is just as relevant now in this moment as it is at any time in our lives. So this morning, we're just continuing that series right here. Good morning. I see some more people saying good morning, so you guys can say good morning to each other. Again, this would normally be where we do a welcome, but yeah. So we're diving into the I Am series again this morning. Last week, Corey Miller one of our ministers, he introduced the series by preaching on the I Am series, I Am the Way, the Truth, and the Life. So if you would like to listen to that, it's available on our website, middletownchristian.org. And again, we're just going to continue that series this morning with I Am the Vine. So you can either read along with me if you have a Bible, or if you have maybe your phone, although you might be watching this on your phone, or you can do something a little different and just let the words wash over you as I read them to you. We're going to be in John 15, verses 1 through 10 in the New International Version. Again, that's John 15, verses 1 through 10 in the New International Version. And we're continuing the I Am series. So here we go. Jesus is speaking to his disciples, and he says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. You are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine. You are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. As the Father has loved you, as the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. That's the word of God for the people of God. And I imagine that together we are all saying, Amen. So, I don't think it's any secret that it's been a weird week. When I was writing and preparing for this sermon earlier this week, I fully expected to be with all of you all in person. I expected to be preaching it over at 500 North Watterson Trail, but that's not what happened this week. As with much of life, there's change and we have to learn how to pivot. I told a friend earlier this week that it's felt like watching a storm roll in. You can see the clouds on the horizon, but there's really not much you can do except sit and wait and see what happens. Will it rain? Will there be thunder and lightning? Will there be wind? Will it just be some clouds passing through? It's hard to know what to do. Uncertainty is the breeding ground of fear and anxiety, and a lot of us feel really uncertain right now. I think it's important to name that. We're all wondering, what does it all mean? What does it mean for my kids if they can't be in school right now? What does it mean for my job if my hours are getting cut back? What does it mean for my bills? How am I going to pay them this month? What about my health? Or what if I or someone I love gets sick? What then? What does it mean? What about those plans that I've made? There's a lot of fear and anxiety, and it's understandable. The disciples in today's story are experiencing much of the same fear and anxiety. The story we read is found in Jesus' farewell discourse. It's the same story, the same discourse that last week's story came from. Jesus is leaving. He's telling his disciples that he is about to leave them, that he is about to face death, and that they will be without him physically. And the disciples are feeling scared and uncertain and wondering what it all means. I imagine they're upset, they're confused, maybe a little angry. They're feeling all of those things. Their once certain future now looks a little less certain. And Jesus responds to their fears and anxiety out of love. He responds by reminding them who he is. This person that they've spent the last 3 years with getting to know. He wants them to remember who he is and who they are. First, he told them he was the way, the truth, and the life. And he wants to reinforce his point because apparently that wasn't comforting enough. So he tries again and he says, I am the vine and you are the branches. If you abide in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit, because apart from me, you can do nothing. I really love the Message translation of this verse, so I'm going to read it. Jesus says, live in me, make your home in me, just as I do in you. In the same way that a branch can't bear grapes by itself, but only by being joined to the vine, you can't bear fruit unless you are joined with me. I love that. Make your home in me. He says it a little further down differently. He says, make yourselves at home in my love. Isn't that a beautiful picture? In a time when the disciples are feeling anxious and afraid, Jesus doesn't respond with a to-do list. He doesn't dismiss their fears and tell them they're overreacting or that they're crazy. He doesn't tell them that it's all going to work out fine. No, he does something very simple. He takes them back to basics, and he reminds them to make a home in God's love. The rest will flow out of that like a vine and its branches. So what does it mean to make a home in God's love? What do you think of when you think of home? What's the image that pops into your mind? When I think of home, I think of a place that is safe, right? A place that is full of comfort, a place where you can be yourself, a place where you can be fully known and fully belong as you are. A place that restores you, that gives you the energy you need to face the day. In theory, that's what a good home should be. It's the same with God's love. God's love is meant to be that safe place for us. It's meant to be a place that restores us and comforts us, a place that gives us space to thrive, a place where there are no ifs, ands, or buts for you to belong. That's what God's love is. It's meant to be a home. And I know, sadly, not everyone thinks of the word home and has good images that come with it. But I can promise you this. God's love is safe. God's love is warm and loving. You can make a home in God's love. Now, I know that all sounds good in theory, but it's kind of abstract, right? Like, what does it actually mean to make a home in God's love if it's not some physical place that we can go to or something that we can hold in our hands? Thankfully, Jesus leaves no room for argument here. And for once, he speaks very clearly about what he means when he tells his disciples to make a home in God's love. He says that we can remain in God's love, we can make a home in God's love, if we keep Jesus' commands. And then he says, this is what my command is, that you love each other as I have loved you. It sounds simple, right? Almost a little too good to be true. Because surely Jesus has a whole long list of commands, right? A whole list of ways that we can make a home in God's love, a list of rules we have to follow to qualify to live there. You know, like filling out an application, like you have to do when you rent an apartment or, apply for a mortgage. I'm speaking from conjecture here. I've never actually had a mortgage. Millennial life. So in the middle of anxiety, that's what it all boils down to. Making a home in God's love, loving others. Now, right now, loving others looks a lot different than it normally does, right? When we think of loving others well, we think of being present with people often. We think of giving them a hug. We think of being in close proximity where we can actually see people face to face. But right now, during this coronavirus epidemic or pandemic, love is going to look a little differently. Part of the reason we're not meeting today is because we are loving our neighbor well, right? We're loving each other by not being around each other, by looking out for the health of the community. But there are other ways that we can love each other, because we need each other now more than ever. Like the vine connected to the branches, we are all connected. We can love each other by calling each other and FaceTiming each other and texting each other just to check in, to combat some of the loneliness that might come with having to spend a little less time with each other in person. There are some in our community who are going to be hit hard financially by all of the school closures, event cancellations, the cutting of work hours. It's an uncertain time. And this is where we really need to be the church. We can love them by asking what they need, by donating our extra resources to the organizations that are going to provide resources to the people who need them most right now. We can love each other by taking only what we need and not hoarding resources so that there is enough to go around and so that we can all get through this time together with exactly what we need. We can love each other well right now by extending grace, because emotions are running high and it's going to be easy to snap at people, to get frustrated with people, to not have the patience that we would like to have with each other. But we need to extend each other grace and know that we're all just reacting the best we can with the information we have. We don't know the pressures that each person is under. This is true for all of life, but I think it's a really good reminder right now to extend each other grace. Finally, we can love each other well by praying for each other, by praying for our leaders and the healthcare providers and everyone having to make really difficult decisions during this time. Because we know that God's presence is with us, guiding us. It's understandable to feel afraid or powerless right now. I've had some of those moments myself this week. But I hope that as we move forward, as we take things one day at a time, you will remember that you can always go and make a home in God's love. And that you can let that love fill you with peace and then let it flow out of you into those around you.